All right, I'd like to go ahead and open up the Tuesday, July 20th, 2021 Warrenton Board of Alderman meeting. This time, if you would rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance with us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, as you can tell, we are several aldermen short. One will be zooming in, which that'll be Alderman Crump, who would have the iPad up there. Do we need to have him by a mic, or will it all pick up?
It's on the system.
Okay, it'll pick up mine. All right, good. So that'll make a quorum with 4. I believe Alderman Cullum and Alderman Schultz will not be here tonight. So we'll go ahead and move on to the consent agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items as submitted.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Deloy, seconded by Alderman Corder. Roll call vote.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Crump,
Yes.
Alderman Corder,
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering,
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 with 2 absent. Next will be public comments. First, we'll take any general comments.
I do have an email to read
Okay.
from Cheryl Cullum.
Okay.
To Ward 2 Alderman and elected mayor of the city of Warrenton, as a resident and voter of the city of Warrenton, Missouri, Ward 2, I am sending this communication through official channels to make known to you, Scott Scholes and Stephen Cullum, who are the elected officials representing Ward 2 in the year 2021, my concerns with the upcoming Board of Aldermen meeting agenda. I expect that as an elected alderman representing Ward 2, you will voice the concerns of your constituents and make decisions based on integrity, ethics, and the principles of the rule of law. I also include Mayor Eric Schluter in this official communication. As elected mayor of this city, you have the accountability to enforce the rule of law and ensure proper protocols are followed with every city employee. I expect you will uphold the highest standard of ethics, integrity, and principles of the rule of law. I have listed below my concerns on the agenda item, and I am listing my position of where I believe this decision needs to be based on facts, ethical standards, and principles of the rule of law. I hold you all accountable for the outcome of the Board of Aldermen meeting and how well you represent the citizens of Warrenton, Missouri on the topic agenda I listed below. Agenda topic, Bill number 52-21, an ordinance of the City of Warrenton amending Section 110.300, City Administrator of the Municipal Code of the City of Warrenton, Missouri regarding qualifications. Change to City Administrator qualifications. I believe that the ordinance and requirements for the city administration should not be changed to retrofit the current administrator who currently does not meet the requirements. The main concern here is not the individual or their capability, but the contempt and disregard for the due process and the rule of law. This position should have been posted as a job opening last year when the previous city administrator put in her retirement. There would have been ample time to accept applications, interview candidates, and evaluate qualified individuals. The other concerns I have is that the ordinance, protocols, and processes should have been enforced, and the city attorney should be the first one to advise that the current process is violated and that the candidate did not meet the qualifications based on the current ordinance. The mayor should have enforced the protocol, and the city attorney should have advised that the ordinance was not met. I understand these are decisions and events that happen with past administration, and you are now reaping the consequences and impact of those decisions. So now the question is, how will you make this right based on integrity, ethics, and the rule of law? Regards, Cheryl Cullum, resident of Warrenton, Missouri, Ward 2.
Thank you. Do you have any other?
That's all.
Any other general comments from the public? All right, we'll move on to public comment on the following P&Z items, which would be Park Hill zoning change, ZC 67, and Park Hill subdivision, SUBDF-87. Anybody like to make comment on that? Not seeing any, we'll move on to Board of Alderman comments.
I do have an email to read from Alderman Cullum.
Okay.
I want to say thanks to the city workers for the amazing cleanup job after the storms we just had. I am sorry I wasn't able to attend tonight's meeting as I am on vacation. I wanted to address two things on tonight's agenda that I am personally against. First, the new law firm. We already have a city attorney, so I don't feel we need another law firm at this time. Second, the city administrator bill. The current city administrator was hired before I was elected. When I ran, I was against how all of that took place, but that's the past now. Brandy does an amazing job as our city administrator, and I feel she is qualified to do the job that she does. I am personally against changing the requirements in the bill other than the mileage to 15 miles from City Hall. With today's technology, any emergencies could be done remote or via Zoom. The city is growing and boundaries will expand in time, so I'm all for the mileage changing. Alderman Cullum.
Thank you.
I also would like to thank Brandy and her staff for the quick cleanup on the debris after the storm. You guys did an awesome job, and I know the folks over in my ward sure appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Any other comments? All right, move on to the mayor's comments. A few things. Number one, there'll be a change to the agenda that was posted. We're removing item number 8 due to it being a duplicate of the agenda for item number 4. So just to kind of update on that. Also as well, we have a lack of aldermen, which is a little bit of a concern, I know, and I appreciate the fact that Alderman Cullum did write an email, but I think sometimes we spur interaction and comments off of things we discuss while here in person. So other than the one thing I think we need to pass today, which is the bond issue, I would like a first reading on each one and a second reading at the next meeting so we can actually have them in person to make comment, whether for or against, or for any type of bill or issue that we would pass on the bills. I just think with the public comments and some of the things that have been said on the city website as well, it just behooves us to have everybody represented here in person to be able to comment on those. So unless anybody has any objections, we'll move forward with the first reading on the bills, and we'll wait on the second reading until the next, the first meeting in August.
Mayor, there is one bill that we have special counsel and our, oh, okay, apologize.
No, what's that? Okay. Is there any objections to that?
No, none here. No, I'm fine with that.
All right, we'll move on to the next item. So the cater liquor license for small batch winery for Fall Festival. Any questions on that?
No.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the caterer liquor license for small batch winery for Fall Festival.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Quarter, second by Alderman Deloy. Roll call vote.
Alderman Crum. Oops, sorry.
Yes.
Alderman Porter.
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering.
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 with 2 absent. Next, the insurance on general obligation bonds for combined waterworks and sewage system revenue bonds. Be Sean Flynn and Joy Howard.
You hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm here
You
to
can adjust the
talk-
mic if you like.
What?
You can adjust the mic if you'd like.
If you can hear me, I'm good to go.
All right.
I'm here to talk about the final results of the sale from a financial perspective. Sean Flynn is with Gilmore and Bell, and he's here to answer any questions you have on the particulars of the bond ordinance. Most of what I have to say about the sale was really at the last meeting where we selected the underwriter. It was a competitive process. And I just wanted to let you know tonight that interest rates, in fact, did decline. And if you remember, we picked a firm that had rate indexing. So the final rates were .13 or 13 basis points lower than at the time of the proposal, and that resulted in a debt service savings to the city of $121,291.25, if you want to count the cents. So all good. Rates declined. You got the benefit of that, and the underwriter did a really good job. That's really all I have to say. I guess the only other thing I can tell you is that when we got proposals, they were better than our modeling that we had done. So all of it worked out really great for the city. Do you have any questions for Sean as far as the content of the ordinance?
No.
The one thing I can tell you is that the city has other outstanding revenue bonds, and so we didn't have a lot of flexibility in how the ordinance was written. You really had to follow the terms that were already in place. So I'm glad you didn't have too many questions.
We're going to have to trust you on this.
Mayor and Board, I would like Sean an opportunity to just introduce himself, because
That'd be
he's
great.
been our special counsel on the bond issues for how long, Sean? 10 years?
Probably around 10 years.
Yeah.
So, no, good evening. Happy to be here. My name's Sean Flynn, the law firm Gilmore and Bell from St. Louis. And, as Joy said, we put together this ordinance here that's in front of you. It approves all the numbers Joy just described to you. The payment of these bonds will be on the same priority as your existing bonds, which were issued in 2001, 2002, and 2014, I believe. So, but again, happy to answer any questions if you do have any.
Good.
I don't believe I.
I don't.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from City Administrator Brandy Walters.
Good evening. The first thing that I have for you tonight is an agreement with an employment council retention. I know that there's been some discussion about this. This is basically an agreement with McMahon Berger, which is a law firm, and they specialize in HR stuff. So any kind of the more complicated HR issues that we have come up with, which is really more federally governed, that's what this this firm specializes in. So what we're looking to do is just to have this agreement so that a way, if we have questions come up for such as ADA or FMLA or any kind of those federal guidelines, it's so that he can answer those questions for us. My mistake, he is not on retainer. He actually is paid for as we use him. So we actually have been using him in the past through Mr. Greville, kind of in a roundabout way. So he's been doing work for us in the past, just not as an agreement. So,
If I can add a couple of things, they're like Sean, special counsel, there are areas of the law that get a little bit more complicated. And I kind of put it this way, where I'm a general practitioner and a litigator. When you get into some of the employment issues, if we've discovered over the past couple years, we've actually called John from McMahon Berger, and he's actually provided some information where we've had various employment issues about, what to do with somebody that has an ADA claim that occurs after an FMLA claim, really these federal kind of employment issues. And John has always been very gracious and very accessible for us to get some guidance on how to handle it. When it comes to employment issues, 99% of that stuff, we handle that in-house, whether it's unemployment claims, terminations, rewriting codes related to it. But to support staff, I do have limitations, and when it comes down to the dollars and cents, for me to become an expert on FMLA is going to cost the city hourly rate far more than using somebody who is already an expert. What McMahon Berger does is they really are employment councils to local government. I use them in some of the other cities I do. I think they're probably one of the best at what they do, advising employers and government employers and what they do. And, sometimes these situations come up quickly, and I don't have the knowledge base to do it. Probably once or twice a year where we have a very unusual employment issue, and I know there's been some questions coming out, not really a lot of background, but the idea, and one of the reasons that I have worked with Brandy to do this, is really to try to get the best advice as quickly as possible for city staff in the HR role to deal with some of these very finite kind of tip of the spear employment issues that come up for the city, which they do. I know you don't see a lot of them because I think we do a good job of managing things in a progressive disciplinary style, or working and being, working with employees that may have health or disability issues. But they do exist. As the city grows, they will continue to exist. And I think John does a great job. Brandy's met with them. And like she said, we've used him numerous times in the past on those issues over the last couple of years. And he's worked with us to kind of give us some information or give us a little bit of guidance. And I think having this accessibility for staff will be a very positive thing for the HR department of the city.
There will be a bill later on in the agenda for you to approve. The next thing that I have for you tonight is the amendment of the city administrator, those qualifications that you guys had discussed in a previous executive session meeting.
Andy, I'd like to jump in here.
Okay.
There's been a mistake on that. And we need to address that later in that bill. I was on the board the prior board, and when we deemed that you had your 5 years qualifications that you needed. And I believe this board agreed as well. So I think we need to look at amending that.
Okay.
To remove that 3 to 5 year thing.
Yeah.
And that'll be later on the agenda also. The next thing I have for you tonight is the vacation code and policy changes. This change is what you guys have seen recently. We've been trying to make changes after the budget. You guys all got emails regarding the policy change, so we just had to make it in code and make those changes official in code. So we added, just for transparency, we added the 5 years to what was previously there, because previously it was just 3 and then it was a jump to 10. So we added a 5-year 120-hour vacation leave. We've added the period for after 11 years consecutively, the employees get an additional 8 hours for each year after that. We also added that instead of taking it in 8-hour increments, they can now take vacation in 4-hour increments. And we also added a buyback program for after 5 years or 10 years, they're able to buy back some of their vacation if they're unable to use it. So that is also later on the agenda as a bill. As far as operational updates, I don't really have anything at this time. I do wanted to let everybody know that we're having the career fair in this building on Thursday from 10 to 4. And it seems like they're going to have a really great turnout for that event. And then also August 3rd, which is our next board meeting, will start at 5 o'clock, just a reminder. And that's all I have.
Brandy, did you say the career fair was Thursday?
Yes, this Thursday, the 22nd, from 10 to 4.
10 to 4. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we're from Director of Operations, John Struckoff.
Good evening. The first item on the agenda is the admin report. A couple items to note on there is we have hired quite a few people last month. We still have positions to fill, though, so we're still actively looking for good employees. So, the social media, we're really trying to keep the social media updated, website updated. We're trying to do that constantly. So if you have any questions or anything on that, I'd be happy to answer it.
John, what areas are you hiring? I mean, you said you've hired quite a few people. Is it throughout the city or is it any particular area?
We hired part-time for grounds and maintenance. We've hired a couple in Public Works, a couple at Aquatic Center. We're going to lose some of the seasonal people at Aquatic Center, so we're going to be looking hard there again because the school people are going back to school. So, but we've been trying to get people in, after the budget. So,
All right, thanks.
Next thing I have for you tonight is the change for the code for the streetlights. We did this a couple months ago. When we did this a couple months ago, we didn't realize that the streetlights that we spec'd out were no longer available. So they discontinued the streetlights that we spec'd out a couple months ago, so we had to change the spec in the code again for that. That's really the only change there.
Right.
And that's a bill later on in the agenda. The last thing I have for you tonight is a change order for BFA for engineering on the stormwater sidewalk project on Veterans Memorial Parkway. The reason for this change order is because we got a grant. We have to do all the federal regulations. The engineering firm has to do a lot more work to meet those federal regulations, and this is the charge for that. And that this will be covered in the cost share with the grant, so.
Questions on that?
No.
That does require a motion.
Yes.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the change order number 2 from BFA for engineering on this stormwater sidewalk project on Veterans Memorial Parkway in the amount of $58,100.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Deloy, seconded by Alderman Jackson. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Porter?
Yes.
Alderman Jasper?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Crum?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 with 2 absent.
That's all I have for you tonight. Thank you.
See him here, is he here via Zoom? Tim Burke.
No, unfortunately, Tim is out sick today.
Okay.
So you got me.
All right.
So the first thing on the agenda is the rezoning for Park Hill subdivision for the 35.34 acres on the west side of Morgan Street. That is going from ag to, the request is to go from ag to R3. This was tabled from the May 18th Board of Aldermen meeting. And they, as was stated before at the Board of Aldermen meeting, it was discussed previously that R3 and the bridge was not a good option for this area. Since then, we had a work session and agreed at the transportation plan to include, for this project, to include all 3 exits, Coleman Road, Morgan, and the southern through the property to the south. So staff agrees that with the R2 also being a previously discussed, staff agrees that R2 designation would be consistent with our comp plan.
There'll also be a bill later on.
Yes, there'll be a bill later on if you don't have any other questions.
The SUBD-87 as well.
What?
Are you encompassing that all in within the SUBD-87 as well?
Yes. Same thing with that. There's also a bill later on the agenda that was also tabled from May 18th Board of Aldermen meeting. And staff still has the same recommendations for that. If it is with R2, the development of Phase 2 or later phases would not be permitted until access to the western portion of the subject site is provided to the south or the west, and it guarantees a form acceptable to the city. They also would ask that we provide, or that the applicant provides a floodplain development permit for all work within the regulatory floodplain, provide a parking lane striping plan to Public Works as required by the City of Warrenton Ordinance 2550. The construction traffic shall utilize South Morgan for Phase 1 of the development, and Coleman shall be utilized for the construction access for Phase 2 or later phases of the development. And Coleman would also be included later. That's the only thing that we changed on those staff recommendations from the last meeting, was that Coleman would actually be able to be utilized once construction was completed as well.
The floodplain's a standard thing, it's not something we're asking just for this?
I'm sorry?
The floodplain, that's a standard.
Yes, standard things.
Questions on those? Comments?
That was the same piece of property that we discussed being zoned R2 versus R3, right?
Yes,
Okay.
this is the same piece. This is just the subdivision
So we
preliminary plat.
agreed in our work session that open up the 3 exits for the builder, yet we haven't, they're still coming back with wanting R3. Is that
Correct.
correct? So we gave in on the roads and stuff, and
Correct.
nothing else?
The applicant did not change anything
Okay. All right,
from
thank
the
you.
last meeting. You're welcome. And there'll be a bill later on in the agenda for that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Building Commissioner Mike Ross.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. You have my monthly report.
Any highlights?
We've actually, we've got 2 new builders that have applied for some permits in town that we haven't had before. So that's a welcome change. Yes. Permits are starting to pick up just a little bit, but lumber prices are still extremely high.
They made a big deal about them dropping, but they didn't drop by much.
No, not at all. No. Not when you're still paying $48 for a sheet of plywood. It didn't drop
Yeah.
very much at all.
Crazy.
And last year, about this time, it was $19 a sheet.
I saw that timber boards were all the way down to $5 or $6 a piece at Lowell's, so.
It's ridiculous. It is.
It's ridiculous
But
that
as
you
long
can
as-
even say that it's down to.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
I guess as long as people are paying the prices, they're gonna keep them right where they are.
Yeah.
So,
Did we have any building permits pulled for last month? Or July?
we had 2 more come back in.
Two
So
more.
that's the 2 new builders, each applied for 1 each. One
Okay.
builder has 8 lots to build on that they've already purchased, and the other builder has 4 lots to build on, which they've already purchased.
Okay,
So,
thanks, Mike.
Any questions or comments? Thanks, Mike.
welcome.
Next, we'll hear from Chief Police Larry Eller.
Good evening. My monthly report, I don't really have any highlights as far as the data goes, but I do have some good news. Whenever you're ready.
You have good news?
I do have good news.
What's that?
This past Friday, we completed our review in front of the commission and are now officially accredited.
Nice.
Awesome.
It's only took since 2017, but here we are.
Good job.
Thank you.
Not just accredited, internationally accredited. This is not the Missouri Chief of Police Association accreditation that a lot of municipalities have. This is like, New York PD, St. Louis City PD, St. Charles County PD,
Mexico City.
Mexico City PD, international. It's a big deal. The chief does not.
Congratulations, Chief.
Does not.
That's awesome.
When we started this process, we had a policy book that was maybe, 10 pages? So that it's very clear what is expected, a policy-driven management system, and now it's probably 300?
We started off with a bridging document saying that those original ones were still in effect while we constructed the 80+ that match up to the 181 standards set forth by the commission.
So all of those policies have been drafted, workshopped, brought in, and the board has approved it over the last 4 to 5 years to review. In addition to that, for every policy you set, you have to then have the backup proof to say we've implemented this. So, Nancy Kurtz, who's our CALIA manager, and the chief just refuses to embrace how big of a deal this is. Chief, or Mary, you know how big of a deal this is.
I do.
It's a very rare, we're one of the smallest, most rural departments that have this accreditation in the entire world. And it was a big undertaking, it was a big commitment, and we qualified for a grant. We applied for a grant to diffuse some of the cost. This is good for what, 3 years?
Every year we have to maintain a web-based assessment, and then we're up for reaccreditation in 2025.
So this is the highest level, the platinum standard, the highest level of accreditation you can get for a police department. It is truly the most state-of-the-art accreditation a police department will have. I know when this idea was originally conceived with the chief was the idea that you know, having an international accredited police department is not just great for the citizens, but for the corporate citizens and to make the city more attractive to say, hey, look, we don't just have some small-town police department, we have a internationally accredited police department. And I know, now that this is done, I know I intend to get some gear that shows, you know, some Warrenton PD gear that has some patch on it, and I'm sure all the vehicles will now be,
We've got the order form ready for those.
yeah, to show that we are an internationally accredited department. And when you drive around St. Louis and you look, you know the ones. Chesterfield PD is one of the oldest internationally accredited ones. There aren't that many. It really is a big honor. It really is a big step. I know that there are some law enforcement agencies that, when I said Warrenton was doing this, they said they'd never get it, they'd never get it done. And we actually got a lot of really good help from some of the big agencies in the metropolitan area that really, I think, kind of helped us get
Absolutely.
a jump start to really get this thing moving forward. So I know he won't make a big deal out of it. I know I represent cities, I represent police departments, and I know how big of a deal it is, how big of a lift this is, the dedication of a department of our size, where there are other departments that have multiple CALEA accreditation managers. You know, City of Baldwin, where I'm prosecuting attorney, they went through the entire process and then it was too much work. They're now starting the process over. That's a city of 40,000 people. So I think for the citizens of the city and the people that have seen this through, this is something that, you know, really is special for the citizens.
So Chris, percentage-wise, of a community our size, we're, I mean, 5%, 2%, 0.0%?
I know when we applied, we were the smallest department that had gotten that scholarship. We beat the city of Ferguson out right after the Ferguson events for the scholarship, right?
For the CASP grant, yes. I believe so.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some other smaller departments in metropolitan areas that have gotten accredited or are on their way to get accredited. But I know at the time when we started, that's a 4 or 5 year process, we were one of these smallest departments to seek accreditation.
I see. I like what you said earlier, that this is something that is going to be helpful for the community in bringing other businesses and homeowners as well to the community. So I think this is a big deal, Chief, and we need to use that as a leverage for everything we do. That's part of it.
One of the conceptions of it was, what is every department of the city we can make better? And this was one that was pretty obvious, that if a developer or a business or a company is looking to come to the area to say, we have an internationally accredited police department, means something to these demographic ideas that businesses and communities are looking for.
So let me break a lot of that down to 2 big points out of this that everybody in the citizens can kind of understand a little bit better. It saves the department on litigation issues, especially because it is so policy driven and our administrative driven on the policy. But the second thing it does is it holds officers accountable to a certain standard, which is, as we all know in this day and age, something everyone looks for. Those are your 2. I mean, I'm not trying to knock that everything you said is great, but really those are the 2 things we were looking at out of this, was holding a lot of accountability and then watching how much we, to keep us out of litigation for certain standards.
Most police departments have kind of a top-down approach of personality management. And one of the things we discovered, we had a turnover at our chief of police level. We had turnover in our officer level. I'm not being treated fairly. The rules are different from everybody. This truly levels the playing field for all the officers. And I think the chief will tell you they've really embraced this because they know what their job is. They know what they need to do to be successful in their job. It absolutely reduces the litigation because, how you handle certain situations is part of your policy. And then the city police department has a responsibility to prove to CALEA, the accreditation body, that they are actually following through on this standard. So.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right. I think you could probably talk to the attorney and get some challenge coins or something made.
Hey man, it's a big deal. You know it is, Mayor. It
is, but I like to.
It's a feather in our cap.
Where to go with. So, Public Works Director, Guy Jeevers. I'm almost ready to turn the whole meeting over to you because
I have a few items.
Most of it's going to be.
Is he back for money?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Guy.
Good morning, good afternoon, Mayor and Board. First item I have is CMT change order for North Highway 47 sidewalk. This is a change order for off of Maple Drive that the slope isn't adequate enough and it's dragging. They're going to extend that road up farther to get rid of the slope.
Okay, yeah,
So
no, I received a complaint on that personally from a couple people there.
Yeah.
Just dragging on the cars.
So it's coned off right now. As soon as I get approval, we'll find out how quick they can get that taken care of. And that change order is the amount of $12,607.90, and I need approval for that.
Any questions on that? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the change order number 1 from CMT for North 47 sidewalk project in the amount of $12,607.90.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Quarter, seconded by Alderman Jaspering. Roll call vote.
Alderman Jaspering?
Yes.
Alderman Delalloy,
Yes.
Alderman Crump?
Yes.
Alderman Quarter?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 with 2 absent.
Next item I have is a engineering proposal from BFA for stormwater sidewalk on Vauxhall Avenue. Engineering cost is $38,100. This is including sidewalk, curb and gutter, stormwater, rebuilding the driveway approaches where the sidewalk is.
Any questions on that? I'll entertain a motion to approve the BFA engineering proposal for stormwater and sidewalk on Vauxhall Avenue in the amount of $38,100.
So moved.
Second?
I was getting ready to say that.
Motion made by Alderman Delloy, seconded by Alderman Quarter. Roll call vote.
Alderman Delalloy,
Yes.
Alderman Crump?
Yes.
Alderman Quarter?
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0, 2 absent.
Next item I have is engineering proposal for BFA for the water main upgrade on West Boonslick for $53,000. And this is just the engineering. This is from the interchange to Highway U, so there's going to be an upgrade and also continue a loop in that system. So this is something that needs to be done for the amount of $53,000.
Questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve the BFA engineering proposal for water main upgrade on West Boonslick Road in the amount of $53,000. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Delloy, seconded by Alderman Jaspering. Roll call vote.
Alderman Crump?
Yes.
Alderman Quarter?
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering?
Yes.
Alderman Delalloy,
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 with 2 absent.
Next item I have is a proposal for BFA engineering for temporary construction easements for stormwater improvement phase 1 on West Boonslick Road from Highway U to right about where the maintenance building is on Highway U. This is for the temporary easements that need to be made out for the amount of $10,200.
Questions on that? Entertain a motion to approve the BFA engineering proposal for temporary construction easements for the stormwater project on West Boonslick Road in the amount of $10,200.
So moved.
Second.
I'm going to go with the left side of me.
Okay.
Motion made by Alderman Quarter, seconded by Alderman Jaspering. Roll call vote.
Alderman Quarter?
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering?
Yes.
Alderman Delalloy,
Yes.
Alderman Crump?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 with 2 absent.
Next item I have is a proposal from Gonzalez Engineering for construction administration for the project from Fairlane Lift Station to the wastewater sewer treatment plant, the interceptor line, for the cost of $130,000.
Any questions on that? I'll entertain a motion to approve the Gonzalez Engineering proposal for construction administration for Fairlane to the wastewater treatment plant interceptor project in the amount of $130,000.
So moved.
Second.
Seriously? Go ahead. Motion made by Alderman Deloy, seconded by Alderman Jaspering. Roll call vote.
Man, it's all tough.
I know, it's like they looked at each other just to decide and then went ahead and said at the same time.
Alderman Jaspering?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Crump?
Yes.
Alderman Quarter?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 with 2 absent.
Next item I have is engineering proposal with Gonzalez Engineering for construction administration for the UV disinfection at the wastewater treatment plant for $59,000 budget item.
We're back up again.
Entertain a motion for the Gonzalez Engineering proposal for construction administration for UV disinfection at the water waste treatment plant in the amount of $59,000.
So moved.
Don't you do it.
Second.
I will just get it done.
Motion made by Alderman Quarter, seconded by Alderman Jaspering. Roll call vote.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Alderman Crump?
Yes.
Alderman Quarter?
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering?
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0 with 2 absent.
Last item I have is engineering professional service for Gonzalez Engineering for the Southwest Interceptor from Veterans Memorial to Morgan Street. Engineering only, $185,000.
Only, huh?
Only. This has got railroad and
No
there's a
offense,
there's a lot in this one.
no offense, so I think I'm going to leave the only out.
Are we building a railroad or?
Are we buying a railroad?
I'll entertain a motion to approve the Gonzalez Engineering proposal for the Southwest Interceptor from Veterans Memorial Parkway to Morgan Street in the amount of $185,000.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Deloy, seconded by Alderman Quarter. Roll call vote.
Alderman Crump?
Yes.
Alderman Quarter?
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering?
Yes.
Alderman Deloy,
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0, 2 absent. Bills to ordinance. I'm going to say this again just to clarify. And I know it may be a little bit of aggravation for 2 individuals in the area, but I do want to clarify why. I'd like the first reading and to be read. The second reading, I'd like to wait till the next one because I do know 2 aldermen did want to comment on this, whether they had it prepared or not. They did want to comment on some things. They made some comments in the work session. I think it's fair for them to be able to say things. So if you can bear with us till the next meeting, I'd like for them to be able to say their piece before we do a final reading. Okay, just wanted to clarify why. So the only one I know we do need to pass because of the passage on the bonds would be the bond one. The rest, I'd like to wait for first readings and then we'll wait on the second reading. Especially with clarification on the first reading with what you would like removed from the city administrator.
When do I make my motion? Council? When he calls the
When we call
bill
for
number?
Yeah, when you go to,
Okay, clarification on the amendment.
E.
Yes.
So Mayor, if you can give him a heads up, I know he wanted
I
to
will.
make a motion.
We'll work through it. So I'll entertain a motion for the first reading of bill number 31-21.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Quarter, seconded by Alderman Deloy.
Bill Bill number 31-21, an ordinance authorizing the rezoning of approximately 35.34 acres located on the west side of South Morgan Street, approximately 1,575 feet south of West Walton Street, from Ag Agricultural Reserve District to R3 High Density Residential District, and amending the zoning district map thereon.
Second reading will be the second meeting, or the first meeting of August. I apologize. August 3rd. So I will entertain a motion for the first reading of bill number 32-21.
So moved.
Second?
Motion made by Alderman Delloy, seconded by Alderman Corder. Go ahead.
Alderman Corder?
No.
Oh, what am I doing?
Just a first reading on the bill. I know this is new for us, but just a first reading on bill number 32-21.
Okay, we're just moving right along. Okay. Bill number 32-21, an ordinance accepting the preliminary plat of the subdivision known as Park Hills by the city of Warrenton, Missouri.
And that'll be, the second reading will be the first meeting in August, which will be August 3rd. I will call for the first reading, or I'll call for a motion for the first reading of bill number 50-21. Is that right? Yes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Delloy, seconded by Alderman Jaspering.
Bill number 50-21, an ordinance repealing and replacing section 540.010 of the Municipal Code of the City of Warrenton, Missouri regarding minimum standards for streetlight construction.
Second reading will be the first meeting in August, which will be August 3rd. I will call for first reading, or motion for the first reading of bill number 51-21.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Delloy, seconded by Alderman Corder.
Bill number 51-21, an ordinance authorizing execution of an agreement with McMahon Berger PC in the city of Warrenton, Missouri for employment council retention services.
Second reading will be the first meeting in August, which will be August 3rd. So here's where you'll make your amendment.
That's where I do it?
Do you want me to call for it first, or do you want him to do the amendment first?
Why don't you call for it, then Alderman Delaway, you can make your
I'll
amendment.
entertain a motion for the first reading of bill number 52-21.
Okay, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to amend the bill number 52-21 to remove the 3-year clause.
That'll need a second.
Second.
So the amendment to that would be removing the 3-year clause. It was first brought up by Alderman Delloy, seconded by Alderman Corder. Let's go ahead and do a roll call on the amendment.
Well, if there's any discussion first.
So we're just removing the 3-year and it's going back to what was it
5.
before, 5?
Five.
Okay, that's fine.
We do roll call vote this
Roll
time.
call on
Okay.
just the amendment.
Okay. Alderman Delloy,
Yes.
Alderman Crump,
Yes.
Alderman Corder,
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering.
Yes.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion for the first reading of bill number 52-21 with the amendment of removing the 3-year clause.
So moved.
Second.
I know, confusing, but we're going to get through it. Motion made by Alderman Delloy, seconded by Alderman Jasper.
Bill number 52-21, an ordinance of the City of Warrenton amending section 110.300, City Administrator of the Municipal Code of the City of Warrenton, Missouri regarding qualifications with the amendment of removing the 3-year clause.
Thank you. That'll be, the second reading will be on August 3rd, which will be the first meeting in August, to include the amendment of removing the 3-year clause. All right, so this bill, the bill number 53-21 is the bond issue. This is the one we do have to address today, just because of the sales and what be it. So I'll entertain a motion for the first reading of bill number 53-21.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Jaspering, seconded by Alderman Deloy.
Bill number 53-21, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of combined waterworks and sewerage system revenue bonds, Series 2021, of the City of Warrenton, Missouri, prescribing the form and details of the bonds and the covenants and agreements to provide for the payment and security thereof, and authorizing certain actions and documents and prescribing other matters relating thereto.
I'll entertain a motion for the second reading of Bill number 53-21.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Motion made by Alderman Corder, seconded by Alderman Deloy.
Bill number 53-21, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of combined waterworks and sewerage system revenue bonds, Series 2021, of the City of Warrenton, Missouri, prescribing the form and details of the bonds and the covenants and agreements to provide for the payment and security thereof, and authorizing certain actions and documents and prescribing other matters relating thereto.
Roll call vote.
Alderman Crump.
Yes.
Alderman Corder.
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering.
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Motion passes, or bill passes 4-0 with 2 absent. I'll entertain a motion for the first reading of Bill number 54-21.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Alderman Corder, seconded by Alderman Deloy.
Bill number 54-21, an ordinance repealing and replacing Section 125.060 of the Municipal Code of the City of Warrenton, Missouri regarding vacation.
That'll also be a second reading on the first meeting in August 3rd. With that, I will entertain a motion to close the regular Board of Alderman meeting and go into executive session for real estate.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Alderman Jaspering. Oh, Alderman Corder. My apologies. Seconded by Alderman Deloy. Roll call vote.
Alderman Corder.
Yes.
Alderman Jaspering.
Yes.
Alderman Deloy.
Yes.
Alderman Crump.
Yes.
We are adjourned. That is the majority, and it passes 4-0 with 2 absent. Thank you. They're adjourned, and we will carry on into executive session